Good morning, and how are you doing? Welcome again to Knightswood Congregational Church Online, and welcome, unfortunately, to our eighth weekend in lockdown. It seems to have been going on forever and ever, and it's very frustrating. As usual, at this time, we try to include something online for you just to have a presence and perhaps to bring some comfort to at least one person or to make some people think. So I introduce you to John's Gospel chapter 15, 1 to 8, which you will have seen on the church planner with the words about Jesus and bearing fruit. You know, when I look around, sometimes I wonder where we are headed. If you look at our world and the way it's changed in the past decades, it's quite amazing. In the past 8 weeks is really quite scary. And today we seem to live in a world that wants to feature instant everything, instant rewards, instant food, overnight delivery. The list goes on. How soon can you get PPE? How soon can we get tested for coronavirus? When we get the results? You know, people I know go online, order something, and then immediately ask the seller, when will you be dispatching this and getting it delivered? It's all this instant kind of stuff. Even our newsreels are done on an instant sort of basis. And when we were talking about communication a couple of weeks ago, and in some conversations I had with colleagues, it's amazing how many people now prefer direct messaging on the internet or by sending a text rather than having phone conversations. Why? On the phone, you can talk to one person or a couple of people if you have a conference call facility. But on the internet, you can actually be in conversation with 100 plus people at the same time. I've been in near enough such a room with the Zoom app, and it becomes pretty chaotic. But it made me think it's no wonder that the traditional and New Age church services do not attract the crowds that they once did. Nowadays, almost every generation, not just the young, are used to action packed stimulation and fast paced communication. If you've ever watched an old episode of Coronation Street or Emmerdale, you'll see that the story was quite slow. There wasn't an awful lot of detail. There wouldn't be an awful lot of subplots. Nowadays, if you watch these programs, they're fast and furious and coming at you. And so you wonder, when you look at the difference in programming from 20 to 30 years ago to now, it's no wonder that many generations now can't endure 20 to 60 minutes preaching plus. Yet, still many churches, indeed all the churches that I've ever been involved with, they still hark back to those halcyon days of busy pews with families and so on. And many still expect and hope to see this happen again anytime soon. And yet there is an expectation, usually on the preacher alone, that this is his or her job to produce a congregation that is plentiful and to restore the church to those bygone days. But you know, in my experience, I've seen many new churches develop and be full to the absolute brim. But 5 years later, it is not the same congregation. Nothing like the original. And perhaps it's not even got the same leadership. And their building is not full to bursting. And quite often it's caused by people falling out and folks taking sides and congregations splitting. But there's also an issue sometimes with expectation, because the new churches are trying to produce. It's that sort of production model, trying to increase anything in vast quantities. But eventually, someone else will come along and produce something newer and something better and something more exciting until that too becomes old and tired. So many churches seem to get caught up in the production frenzy of the world. You must grow. You must have more than one service. You must expand, church plant. You must offer more. You do better services, much more diverse music, healing, long prayers, testimonies, Bible studies, and so on. During this time, I've sadly witnessed that same mentality online, as many churches race to fill the gap with their buildings being closed for worship due to this pandemic. And I've actually heard of people counting the viewers to their YouTube channel or their Facebook page. I also know of churches, and one that I keep in contact with in America in particular, they're investing heavily on new technology to do proper post-production facilities on their recordings. In a sense, they're becoming a mini television station. And then this is what I think about it. In the workplace, if you were in sales or production, if in the month previous you broke your record, your boss would tell you, that's good, that was great for last month. Now this month you need to top that to get your bonus. It's no wonder that people live in such a state of anxiety and stress. The demands on us to perform, to adapt, to get more results, they're wearing a lot of people down, and the reality is the people like me and the church and ministers, priests and rabbis, we can't afford to be worn down, because we're going to need to be there to help pick people up when this is over. So one of the reasons I attended church as a worshipper is to worship, because I wanted to experience church as a sanctuary from a world gone mad with production and instant everything. And I came to worship and find rest and inner peace from the stress and the craziness. And I view church as a place of peace and as an anchor in the midst of a changing world. That does not mean that I do not believe that church shouldn't change and that it shouldn't evolve, but it shouldn't be dictated to just because other people are panicking to try and create. It should be slowly done, well thought out, and for a particular reason, not just on a whim. This morning I read the text for today, which you'll see if you go into the church planner where this is included. Jesus is talking about bearing much fruit. And when I first read it, I was really quite irritated by it, to be honest with you. It was perhaps the mood, the frame of mind I was in. For Jesus talks about being fruitful, producing fruit, and here we are, production again. And truthfully, I'm tired of producing. Sometimes I feel as if that's all society appears to be looking for anymore. If you can produce, you're in. If you cannot, get out the way. But then it occurs to me that perhaps I need to be a little more trusting in God's Word. Maybe there is more to this Bible text than meets the eye. What does Jesus actually mean by bearing much fruit? How does he say I can get to a point of bearing much fruit? When Jesus talks about fruit, does he mean performance? I want you to bear fruit. Is that performance? Is he looking for an improvement in performance? I want you to be better. When Jesus talks about fruit, he's not talking about the gardener who performs the duties. He's talking about the plant that is cared for. The gardener, whoever he or she may be, may labour to give his apple tree the digging and the manuring and the watering and the pruning it needs, but he can do nothing more to produce the apple. It's the tree that bears its own fruit, as long as the tree is taken care of. Fruit grows naturally. The branch does not need anything to produce the fruit. It is genetically predetermined to bear fruit when it remains connected to the tree or the vine and gets the necessary nutrients. That's why we need to stay connected to the vine, connected to God. For when Jesus says, I am the vine and you are the branches, if you abide in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. He did not say to us, you must be successful. He said, be fruitful. And there is a difference of being and a difference of doing. So Jesus does not say, do more. He is saying, be more. Be all that you can be as you remain in me. Spend time with God. Get to know God deeper. Let God love you. Experience God's inner peace once again and experience His joy. So take a break from the world and be with God. And be with yourself too. Get in touch with your true inner self and your calling and become satisfied in your inner spiritual life. And don't worry about fruit or success. Fruit is a given. It will grow naturally. It will grow naturally out of your centeredness and peace and love, just as the grape grows naturally out of the vine. As long as you're connected to that vine, the fruit will grow. I was told that the German reformer Martin Luther, that when he had a particularly busy day of work ahead of him, he would schedule in extra time for reflection and prayer in the morning. He would basically get up earlier and spend that time praying and reflecting before he started his work. And I always think it sounds like quite a good plan, because in a sense I'm asking you to take a longer break to reflect and to recharge spiritually and to get done faster with your work as a result. I often speak to people who run and jog and exercise on a regular basis, and they tell me that if they don't have the run or a jog that morning, that they don't perform as good as they would normally do in their work. But if they jog in the morning or jog in the evening, they get rid of all their stresses and strains and they're able to give more energy because they've been active, because they have prepared their minds, cleared themselves in order to have a relationship with their work. And I'm asking you to clear your mind and obviously to have a relationship with God. So, contrary to that first impression of this text, Jesus doesn't want us to do more. I believe that Jesus invites us to take a break from the busyness of life, to take a break from performing. He wants us to be, simply be, truly be. Bearing fruit is about being in God, being loved, being in, with, and abiding with God. Amen. I trust that you are with your family and friends just now and that you're safe and well. And I hope to be able to record again for next week. In the meantime, do keep an eye on our Facebook page as we do try to update it as regular as possible. Gave you a little bit of a break last week. There's an awful lot of stuff going on. So take care, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hands.